Host from the Brett's Review Show. Let's fire up this review. Today's review is about the old Chateau. Now, I know why. Cheryl refused to enter or go through Eterna Forest alone. It was because of what happened to her. She was afraid. It goes like this. It's like if you're yourself with your friends or whatever, you're going through the woods, you're walking through the forest, you're going on a little camping trip, and you get a little tired, the sun's about to set, and for some strange reason, this old chateau just like that, just appears in the middle of the forest, and you're just like, you know what, we're curious about it, so we're gonna go check it out, which is exactly what happened with Cheryl and her Chancey. They see that and they get a little curious, so they go up to it, and upon entering, they were greeted by an elderly gentleman, obviously the owner of the place, who felt sorry for them and their situation, and offered them a place to stay for the night. So he also offered them a free meal, took them to his old fancy dining room, had some appetizers or some sides or whatever. Some very, very beautiful place, very beautiful dining room. And as they sat down, they basically, right just before that, I noticed a painting of the very same gentleman, and the eyes had followed both the gentleman and Cheryl and her Chancey as they were being led to the dining room, and they turned red as they moved, very, very sinister-like. So, but there was something strange about the dining room, right? It's got a big old fancy place. You got these sides, and all of a sudden they're brought their meal, and so they like, oh, this is really good. Oh, it looks amazing. And just as they start eating, what you hear, you see them eating food. What they think that they're eating. They think they're eating food. You get like a little hint, like a visual, like, oh, they're really, like, they're going to eat. It's like, all of a sudden, you hear silverware hitting plates, but that's all you hear. You no longer see any food. All the food disappeared on the plates. And then all of a sudden, the elderly gentleman that's sitting there at the head of the table, to the left, towards the entrance to the dining room, seems to be too enthused by this. He seemed to enjoy it too much. And they're just enjoying the meal to what they think is a meal. Basically, they're under a little illusion. And they like hypnotize an illusion. And just as they finished the meal, Chancey gave a little, Chancey took like a little puff. It sounded like, oh, I'm full, that was a very enjoyable meal, And that stopped his enjoyment, the elderly man's enjoyment. He just, he didn't seem to like that very much at all. And he was like, you know what, I'm going to take you to your room. Is that alright? Alright, let's go. So they started walking through these halls of this old chateau, and it seemed like they were walking for what seemed like forever. It kept on going around and around in circles, and the men at a moment had completely disappeared, and they were like, excuse me? And both Chancey and Cheryl are looking around, and they're looking down the hall where they were, and all of a sudden the elderly man, the gentleman, had appeared behind them, and he walked. and they turned and watched him walk, and before they could really say, hey, excuse me, he disappeared again, and again, he appeared in another hallway where they were looking straight down, and there he was. He's like, and he looks towards them, and he goes, come along now. In a very, very, very creepy, like, he's like, come along now. And they all of a sudden, they started to get a little uneasy about their situation, about, what's going on, and they start to get worried. And as they start to follow him again, he slowly melts, like literally melts into the floor, and he turns into this purple kind of acid or liquid or whatever on the floor, and all you hear is this horrible laughter, this scary, creepy laughter of him laughing. And Cheryl and Chancey are just in shock. They're like surprised and scared of what's happening. And then all of a sudden, boom! This cloud, and it's like this little miniature storm just appeared out of nowhere, and it scared them, snapped them into the situation, and they started running. And then all of a sudden, it was like a blink of an eye, as if it was all a dream. And they wake up, only to find themselves waking up in a very run-down chateau. Like, literally run down, abandoned, never updated, no nothing. Broken windows, the place was literally torn up. And looking around and realizing that maybe it was a dream, maybe it never really happened, like we just, had no choice but to stay here, or whatever. She wakes up Chancey, and just as she wakes up Chancey, books all of a sudden just that moment with Chancey just waking up, and boom, just a book just falls, and a couple more books fall, and then you see little legs, do 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 do, and they stop like right behind Chancey and Cheryl, and you see this little girl in this old little outfit, and she says something to them. I can't remember what she said, but she's standing directly behind them, and she says something, and it freaks them out. That's when you see true terror on their faces. And first, it's like it's just like all of a sudden she just changed her face. The little girl just automatically changed. It turned like a complete monster, just disappeared. And then all of a sudden you get this spiritual, like a ghostly image, like a very haunting image of Haunter just appearing out of nowhere. This ghostly little shadow, and just goes after him, just makes them run, like literally run out of the building. It seems like every time we see something like this, that the only ghost Pokemon that we see doing this kind of haunting, doing this kind of mischief, is Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar. Every single time, it's either one or two of them, or all three of them doing this. I mean, they brought that back in the Kalos regional anime, where they had that. There's a little story behind it. But it seems like every single time, it's always Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar. What about Shuppet, or Bennett, or Duskull, or Dusclops? What about those Pokemon? What about the other ghost Pokemon? You just can't feature just those three. Of course, they're pretty darn good at it, but still a bit creepy, pretty well done. We finally know why Cheryl is so afraid to go through the Eternal Forest alone, and it was pretty creepy. Pretty dang good episode. I give this one an 8.5 out of 10. It was well done. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for you to do. That's all I got for you guys right now. let's cool down and look forward for the next review. Peace.